less government monopolies and more competition, and opening up some cities to special zones of capitalism. It was called socialism with Chinese characteristics, aka corporatism, aka semi-controlled capitalism, but the government still gets the only and final say on any projects. Starting now, the Chinese used their massive young population to undercut most of the world in manufacturing. It was at the perfect time. The first world had much more expensive labor, the third world had no manufacturing capabilities at all, and it was at the height of the Cold War when the US would protect anyone's trade as long as they hated the Soviets. Political reforms were planned too, but after a couple protests in this square, the government stopped them immediately and Deng stepped down as leader. During the 90s, the growth of China really started to take off, growing at least 5% a year for decades. A mix of foreign investment and perfect demographics made China the exporter for everything. For the 2000s, that 5% growth rate looked more like 10% at a minimum. They became the second largest economy, passing Japan, and experienced the fastest poverty reduction in human history. China builds like it's nothing. New cities, roads, ports, infrastructure, buildings, high-speed rail, and ghost towns pop up in a couple of months, with China using half of the concrete on Earth, which is less of a strong point and more of a sign of the end times, as you'll see. Sure, it has slowed in the 2020s, but the progress made is still unfathomable. And since Xi Jinping took power in 2013, he has done what many other Chinese leaders have done: tightened his authority. Zero COVID tolerance, even if it means locking everyone in their house and starving them, mass killings and forced labor in his western provinces, mass surveillance and knowing where and who everyone is with facial recognition, although we probably have that in the West too. Why is he doing this? Because he knows there is a political and economic crisis coming to China in the not too distant future. Chinese history says that the Chinese people have traded freedom for prosperity and security a long time ago, and it still stands to this day. Whenever conditions worsen, it's gonna get ugly. Simply put, Xi Jinping is preparing for the second explosion of China. China is facing a three-front storm, from its people to its money to its stuff, or in fancier words, its demographics, finance, and security. Let's start with its people. Obviously, in terms of people, China is the biggest country on Earth. That is, if it's telling the truth about its statistics. But don't get too used to a world with over 1 billion Chinese people. And I know it's been talked about to death, but the demographic collapse of China is seriously one of the biggest crises the modern nation is facing. It's simple. Less people make less stuff, and the Chinese have built their economic system around having endless supplies of cheap labor. Some estimates put the peak Chinese population happening in the 2030s, but some say it has already happened in the mid to late 2010s. Whatever is true, it's still gonna collapse. Why? Two main causes: trying to get rich and government control. In order to get rich in the modern world, you have to industrialize. In order to industrialize, everyone has to leave their sprawling rice paddies and move to a densely populated city, and kids turn from free labor into a very expensive choice, so people start having fewer